Thirst is the worst.
Thirst the worst, bitch.
I serve as the Youth Justice Program Coordinator for GSAFE. We do statewide work with LGBTQ young people and are a pretty well-respected, institutionalized nonprofit in town. But I'm here representing myself. And part of what I'm doing is wanting to speak about being a white youth worker and having been working with middle school and high school students for my entire career. And before I worked for GSAFE, I lived in Minneapolis. And what I saw in Minneapolis is something that turned me away from the issue of having cops relate with my students and working with my students. And what happened for me was watching one of my young people get shot by police. And there's something that it does to you to be a youth worker who goes into working with high school and middle school students specifically because you love children and you work effectively with children. And then you watch children get shot, right? So I'm not saying we're watching our children get shot by educational resource officers, but in a metaphorical sense we are. Like, if you look at East High School, we can see that the ERO, which is a really nice fancy way of saying a cop that we're paying to be in our schools with a gun, doesn't refer any trespassing tickets to the youth court, right? Like, she has that full discretion to say, I do not want a trespassing ticket going to youth court. And that's true across our other high schools. We have educational resource officers who perceive themselves as being so powerful that they get to make all of the calls and have all of the discretion on if our youth get an alternate to receiving arrests or citations. So there's a lot we can play with, right? There's a lot we can say, and actually we could have a trained force of teachers, primarily teachers of color, making those referrals into youth court. We have other systems in place for us to be using effectively that aren't having somebody with a gun stationed in our high schools. My guess professionally would be that we're not only seeing that it's primarily black students and black students with disabilities who are having disproportionate arrests and citations. My guess is that we're also seeing primarily gender nonconforming students, which is data we don't track for. So I'm no longer interested in watching black and brown and Hmong students I work with being arrested and cited in schools that I work with. It's not a part of my values, and from knowing a handful of you individually, I don't think it's part of yours either. Thanks.
Thirst is the worst.
Subscribe, bitch.